I think many people assume that I wear shorts for attention. And that could be because I continue wearing them well past the point that even the hardened Colorado residents have long since given them up. For me, it's all about utility. Because while prosthetic technology continues to advance, this is still a piece of hardware attached to my body, and it requires maintenance and adjustment. Although I should say sometimes that convenience comes with a side of unwanted attention. Several times in recent months, I've been exiting a store and been blocked from my car by a person who was so inspired to have encountered me in public. For almost anyone else, I feel like this would be considered harassment. And while I know they mean well, I often leave the interaction feeling like it was a one-sided exchange. While this is an occasional event in the real world, it happens multiple times per day online. And while I also know these commenters mean well, I'm honestly not sure how to respond. I often have a negative reaction to these comments, and after this one appeared on my Instagram several days ago, I decided to sit with it and understand why. I think it's because I read it as a question, and in a world that fails to understand accessibility, that's not so unreasonable. Healthcare, transportation, and business could all be transformed by a proper understanding of accessibility, and yet it's lacking in every one of these spaces. It's also missing in art, culture, and for many of you, life itself. And so when people say they're inspired, I subconsciously ask, inspired to what? Inspired to have a conversation with your friend who parks in the accessible lane because they'll only be there 5 minutes. Maybe remind them that that space isn't there for them. And if you think it's my job to educate in this scenario, consider who has the most social capital. Are they likely to listen to you or the opinions of a random amputee on the internet? Are you inspired to lobby for wider healthcare access, like the So Everybody Can Move Act, which requires insurers to cover sports prostheses in addition to a standard walking leg? My understanding is that here in the state of Colorado, the Department of Insurance is on the cusp of a bureaucratic giveaway to insurance companies, and that your voice being heard can make a difference. And remember, we need your voice not to speak over what's already being said, but to amplify those words to greater audiences. And if you aren't inspired to action, what then? Are you inspired to comparison? Maybe you think, as some people have told me, that you'd be better off dead than living a life like mine. Even the milder version says that you have a more carefree, easier life than I do. And both say a lot about what you think of me, but say even more about you. While it isn't my job to carry this burden for those random internet commenters, I firmly believe we all have the same tools. And that if faced with a threat to our life, well-being, and safety, we would all make the same, if difficult, choices. I never saw myself electively opting to amputate a body part, let alone do it a second time. But when faced with the option of living in debilitating pain, or the possibility of a life that I loved, there was really no choice at all. The point of this video isn't to put one commenter on the pedestal for ridicule, but rather to look for opportunities to start a conversation and to educate. If you're the kind of person who will stop someone exiting a store and interrogate them about their life story, stop that now. However, if you write these comments with the intent of what I believe is encouragement, maybe consider where your voice can meaningfully contribute to equality. And if you're concerned about which opportunities are the most pressing, ask. Because fighting alongside a misguided ally is worse than fighting the battle alone. Oh, and I almost forgot. I hope you always stay curious.